Welcome to Preparing for the Unexpected. I'm your host, Alex Fullick, and as always, we'd like to talk about things related to disaster recovery, business continuity, resilience, anything that helps you, your organization, or your community prepare for, respond to, and overcome adverse situations. Today, I want to talk about something that I'm seeing quite a bit because I'm experiencing it actually with a couple of clients right now. And it's called the art of bore. Why we lose the attention and the support of our leadership and quite often those that we work with in an organization. I am working with a client right now. I'm the part-time person just giving advice and helping out on a few things, but I'm seeing what's happening with my work colleagues and why their executive and some of their other management levels kind of ignore them and aren't doing anything to help contribute to their business continuity resilience program and move things forward. So I thought I'd touch base on some of the things that I've seen over the years, and a couple of them are a little bit different that you might not have heard before, but I've noticed recently with a couple of shall we say, the cultures within a couple of organizations. So let's go down our list. Our first one, you probably are quite familiar with. We don't speak the executive language. We talk in our own. We use our own acronyms, BCMs, BCPs, DRs, ERM, IM, CRM, and CRM can have multiple meanings too. So if we're not using the context that executives use, well, you could take them down a different path. We use our own terms and our own acronyms. It's not their language. They don't speak in those acronyms or those terms, so you shouldn't either if you're speaking with them. Use terminology that they're going to understand. If they always seem to speak about risk and finances or customer client facing verbiage or descriptions, then you should too. Tie your presentation, your update, your status report, your notifications, anything to something that captures their intent, their attention, and that they can interpret and understand. And if they need to ask questions, they can ask questions, but they know and understand what it is you're saying. Report on things that matter. This is getting quite the attention right now about metrics. They don't care about the number of BIAs that you did. Heck, half the time I don't care the number of BIAs that I do. It's the information that comes out of it that is important to me. I don't care how many BIAs that takes, 5, 10, 50, it doesn't matter. They don't care either, because to them, it's one of these, a self-congratulatory pat on the back, hey, look what we did. Well, many other parts of the organization aren't doing that, so why should we? We shouldn't do that. We also don't understand their expectations. I've brought this up before during live broadcasts, other interviews. We don't understand their expectations. What is it they want from a resilience or business continuity or disaster recovery, whatever you're calling it? What do they expect from that program? What is their understanding? Even if it's not your understanding and your expectation, you will know where they stand. That'll identify a gap, perhaps, in their thinking or the way they are supporting something. Then that gives you a roadmap to develop a roadmap to address that gap. But if you're going down the road, you don't understand their perception, guess what? They're not paying attention to you. They're starting to ignore you because they just don't care. Well, you're doing your own thing. We have no idea what you're doing. Fine, whatever. And then what ends up happening when crunch time hits and budgets are cut, because you're definitely haven't been meeting their expectations, you're not reporting correctly, you're not even speaking their language. Guess what? Area gets cut from the budget. Another item we don't do is we don't tie our continuity programs to the strategy of the organization and identify how, with all the different things that we do, the testing, the BIAs, whether you do them or not, the continuity strategies, the business continuity plans, the incident management, the et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How does that help the organization with its ongoing strategy? And tie that to the enterprise risk registry, which all executives see, they all get updates with. And if you're an organization with a board of directors, the board sees that too. How are you contributing to that? It doesn't mean that you need to address every single risk that is on that registry or mitigate every single risk on there. You may only be partially able to mitigate, or there may be some risks you have no contribution to at all. But if you can link to it, even in part, you are then able to show, here's my value. Here's how I'm helping you meet your strategic goals. Here's how I'm, at least in part, addressing your risks. And here's how I'm helping you keep your name out of the headlines if something happens. The other item that really bores people, and we can lose the attention and the focus and the support from our colleagues and leadership, is quite often we try to recreate the wheel. By that, I mean, if you attend conferences or webinars or read articles that are posted on in magazines or online, there's talk about all these different areas: incident management, emergency management, facilities management, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Business continuity tends to say the business continuity professional, the resilience professional needs to know this, needs to do that. And it points to all these other areas. In a way, we're being told to recreate the wheel. Instead, build a relationship with those that have incident management. Don't recreate the wheel. Facilities management, they're going to be responsible for that entire facility. That includes evacuation. It includes first aid. It includes fire and or floor wardens. Sometimes they're called, they do the same thing, but they're called something different. Sometimes with multiple tenants. They have all those plans and processes in place. You don't have to recreate them and say, this is what I need you to do. You can open the dialogue and say, hey, what do you do so that I understand and make sure that I align to what you've already been doing. Stop recreating the wheel. Create the network. The wheel is already there. You become the hub. Create more spokes and bring everyone together so they all understand. But you'll lose the attention, you'll lose the focus, and you'll lose the support if you try to recreate that wheel when things are already there. In many of those areas of specialties, there are already certifications and designations that people have. So they've been trained, they have the knowledge. Business continuity shouldn't come along and try to recreate the wheel and dictate what they should and shouldn't do. One of the other items that I've noticed recently, because I'm experiencing it right now, is that some organizations see software as the answer. Because if they're seeing software as the answer, then they don't care what question you're asking. And they don't care about you and won't follow you because they have the tool. The tool will tell them what to do. And I'm seeing it where some organizations think the tool is the answer. We have this application. We have this whole system. We've integrated it. We have reconfigured it to suit our needs. Now it's going to give everything that we need. In a way, like artificial intelligence. Use that application or artificial intelligence, whatever you're using, to enhance things and show, hey, this is what we can get out of this. Here's what more information. We can be challenged with our tests and exercises. We can be challenged with our contingencies and challenging our vendors and suppliers and our various partners. Use it that way. If you don't use it properly, you will lose the focus of what you do and the focus on yourself, because all the focus will start turning towards the application. Quite often, we go back to the well over and over and over again. We don't plan our methodology, how we're going to get our contingency plan developed or our overall life cycle. Yes, we may initiate, we may plan, we may implement, test, And there we go. We're done. But you're really not done. Now you've got to embed everything. You've got to keep everyone involved and along the way, understand who needs to be involved or not at the various phases. And understanding that and keeping the right people involved, I can go ask the same person, the same manager, director at every phase of doing things because they understand how they contribute and what's coming next. We don't do that. We're doing a BIA to help find out what our RTOs are, as an example. Okay, fine. I sit with someone, the manager gives me all these answers, the subject matter expert gives all these answers, and off I go, and I don't see them again for 6 months. Then I show up again. Okay, now I need your contingencies. Contingencies for what? What are you talking about? Well, we're building a business continuity plan. Huh? Well, I don't know anything about that. I don't have that scheduled on our plate. What are you talking about? Right? It causes all that confusion. But if you identify that up front, here's what we're going to be doing. We're moving from a BIA to developing our strategies to documenting a contingency plan. We're going to validate and test afterwards. Letting people know all that in advance helps them plan on their end too. If we keep going back to the well and they don't understand why we keep coming back to them, they're just going to get frustrated and get really pissed off at us because it looks like we don't know what we're doing. You got to plan that out and communicate it. And when we do that, it looks like we don't understand what they do. I already told you what I do in the BIA. I already told you all my requirements. Why are you even back here now? Shouldn't you be going off to develop things for me and write plans and et cetera, make sure IT is doing what they need to do, make sure communications is doing what they're doing and all these other groups. It makes it look like we don't know what they're doing. If we keep going back to the well, or we keep going back with questions and after question after question. And they've already told us what they do. We have to listen and really capture it, what they do, their dependencies, internal, external, what comes in, what goes out, what comes in from outside, what goes inside, and all the different pieces that make that picture up of what they do. And dealing with the IT people, of course, as well, to make sure that it all links. The last one is an interesting one, and it has to do with the organizational culture. There's a lot of talk right now about organizational resilience. And organizational resilience touches on the culture of the organization. If you can't get the attention of your leadership and you're doing a status report and your manager, your directors, the vice president, everybody keeps watering information down before it gets to a C-level, before it gets to the board, there's a chance that that is due to fear, that the leadership has created a culture where people are fearful of identifying risks, gaps, challenges, things that are simply off the rails, and they want to make it look like a watermelon. Nice and green on the outside, all cozy, looks great. But when you peel it back, it's all red. It's because of fear. People don't want to report the negative as it goes up the chain because it makes them look bad. It makes your program look bad. It makes the organization look bad. And it makes the leadership look bad. When in fact, it's probably the leadership that has created that fear that's funneled down through everything that has now caused the problems that you're experiencing. So you have to look at the culture and how to report. You can finagle different verbiage and ways to get your message across if you're doing it the right way, using their terminology to counteract that fear. But if you just go with the flow and you let everybody water your message down at any level, yeah, who cares? You're not really telling me anything. Everything looks fine. And if that culture does exist, then leadership doesn't really care what you're reporting on anyway. Their focus is somewhere else. and nobody knows what that focus is because the culture in the organization is to not pass along a lot of this kind of information, negative information, up to the organization. Let them think it's rosy because we fear them, and if they think everything is rosy, they'll stay away and leave us alone. So if you're experiencing any of this, there's a chance you might be boring the heck out of your executives and leadership. Really take a look around you and get a lay of the land and understand what's going on. Pre-plan things ahead of time so you can communicate your message. Understand what people are looking for, how they're talking, and who they're talking about. If they're talking about risk a lot and the risk group, get in touch with them. Become a part of that group one way or another. Create a network, create a relationship with them, understand how you contribute to them. Your executives won't be bored after that. They'll understand they've got something in their pocket they didn't know they have that is helping them with their strategy, with protecting their brand, protecting the company, and ultimately protecting their jobs. Until next time, stay prepared, everybody. If you liked that video, thumbs up. If you didn't like that video, thumbs down. But leave me a message and let me know your thoughts. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, stay prepared, everybody.